In this video, we'll demonstrate the mechanics of using the Fibonacci price menu item. And there are four basic Fibonacci price techniques. Retracements are subdivided into decay and growth. There are expansions and parallel projections. And to use the decay retracement, and indeed all of the other Fibonacci techniques, you want to highlight a bar and you right-click to use the price low of the bar. You move to your second bar and you left-click to use the price high of the bar. And this is the measured swing, and the Fibonacci ratios are applied to the measured swing. Now 50% is not a Fibonacci ratio per se, but 50% retracements is so common that over the years something called the 50% rule has developed, and that's why it's included in the Fibonacci ratios. But the zone we're interested in is the 62% to 79% retracement zone, and we call that the death zone. And the reason we do is that many new swings or anticipated swings often die there. If we anticipated for one reason or another that this was a trend-ending high, then we'd be very interested in watching what happens in the first reaction from the suspected price high. And we can see the price move down in two steps into the death zone and immediately reversed and went on to make a new high. So in this case, the death zone worked pretty good. All right, let's clean this up. We'll go to the settings, Fibonacci price ratio sets, and you can see there are two additional ratios that we can use in decay retracements, and I'll show you what they're for. We'll do another decay retracement, and we'll use the left bar, or the left click to use the bar high, and we'll use the right click to use the bar low. And we can see that the death zone did not even contain prices in this area. So if there was any doubt that the bull trend was intact, it should have been dissipated absolutely at this point. But the two additional ratios that we included were the negative 24% and negative 38%. And you use these on decay retracements. And they often come into play either on the first swing from the measured low or on a subsequent swing. But in this case, the middle of that zone did create resistance, and prices backed off from them. They don't add much more clutter to the chart, so we tend to use them all the time. All right, let's clean this up. Growth retracements are very similar to decay retracements mechanically. The only difference is that the ratios, the Fibonacci ratios used are all greater than 100%. But mechanically it's the same. You want to left click on a bar to use the bar's high in the calculation, and right click on a bar to use the bar's low. And you get ratios greater than 100%. The standard or most commonly used ratios for growth retracements are 1272 and 1618. But there are four other choices for use. And you can just click them and they'll persist for this session and for subsequent sessions until you change them. But that's the difference between decay retracements and growth retracements. And if you're doing an actual Fibonacci analysis, you'd be doing retracements or growth retracements for each of these other swings also, looking for price clusters. All right, we'll clean this up and move on. Fibonacci expansions take a measured swing, say from this low to this high, and depending on the ratios you select, will project from the second click. In this case, it would be the high, and we'll demonstrate how that works. You choose expansion. Mechanically, you select a bar, press right click to use the bar's lows in the calculation, and left click to use the next bar's high, and it projects from the high, which was the second click. And the ratios go out to 424. And again, if you're doing a real Fibonacci analysis, a genuine analysis, you would use other measured swings. So, example, from here to here, maybe from here to here, and here to here. Again, looking for Fibonacci price clusters. But mechanically, that's how you use the Fibonacci expansions. Okay, we'll clean this up. Restore the price axis and move on. The final Fibonacci technique are parallel projections. And the concept behind a parallel projection is that you take a measured swing, say for example this low to this high, and you then project it from another point on the chart. It could be here, it could be here, 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 or anywhere else. It's a 3-click process. The first 2 clicks take the measured swing, and the third click places that measured swing times the ratios you select at some other point on the chart. And we'll demonstrate that in this manner. Highlight a bar. We're going to right click to use the low. We're going to left click to use the high. And we're going to place it from this bar's low, so we right click. And that places the ratios on the chart. And if you're doing an actual analysis, you want to probably use the same swing and project it from different points on the chart. Again, looking for price clusters. But the important concept for the parallel projections is that you take the measured swing on the first 2 clicks and you place it on the third click. So it's always a 3-click process, and you have the freedom to project from any other point on the chart. And if you get proportionality, then you probably want to go 2 more times at least and take these proportional swings, or 3 more times, and project them all from the same price point. Again, looking for price clusters. And in the final Fibonacci technique, which isn't quite a technique, but we find very useful, we're going to look at the square roots function, and that's in the Fibonacci price menu. And to use the square roots, you first select a factor from the list. In this case, we're going to use 1.5. You click the Use This button, and that tells the program we're going to use this ratio. And the same process, you left click to use a high, and you right click to use a low, and it'll place the square roots on the chart. And basically what's happening is it took this price low, determined the square root, added 1.5 to the square root, and squared it. And square roots are useful in their own right. I think Templeton in the late 30s, early 40s used square roots, particularly on low price stocks, to project possible highs using just integer values. But we find square roots are very useful for identifying Fibonacci price clusters that will tend to have value. And there's nothing intuitive about which square root factor you use. It depends on the volatility of the stock, the price range of the stock. But you can clear what you have at any time, choose a new factor, click Use This, and click from any other point on the chart. And you just keep doing that until you find square root price levels that 2 or 3 times in a swing will find resistance or support, and you can develop some confidence that they'll probably be useful for identifying those clusters with the greatest degree of reliability. and then when you finish, you just exit the dialog. All right, that wraps up the Fibonacci price menu item. And mechanically, things to remember are you want to highlight a bar, you want to right-click to use the bar's low in a calculation, and left-click to use the bar's high in a calculation. And you want to do the same technique from several different points on the chart and several other techniques from those same price points. The objective is to develop Fibonacci clusters that you can then filter out using square roots to try and get a handle on where a trend might end or hit the wall, so you can then integrate that information into your trading decisions.